The time has arrived for me to call the December Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Would everybody please rise for our moment of invocation? And now would you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, it gives me great pleasure and an honor to introduce our new board members. Our first board member that I would like to introduce is from District 101, Mr. Harrison Jones. Harrison. From District 202, Mr. Victor Bill Jenkins. And would you mind me calling you Bill? Would you prefer that? Thank you. And our District 701 member, Mr. Cannon Watson. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. At this time, I will see if there are any conflict of interest disclosures. Does anyone have a conflict or disclosure regarding any items pending before the Board of Supervisors? Harrison?
No, ma'am.
Lou?
No, ma'am.
Patty?
No.
Bill?
No.
Cannon?
No.
Jerry?
No.
David?
No.
And for Odessa, no. At this time, we will have a recognition by Ms. Cheryl Stimson. Cheryl?
Recognition is an opportunity for the Board of Supervisors to recognize achievements in our community with a focus on the accomplishments of students, employees, and our citizen volunteers who serve the county of Prince Edward. The board would like to recognize the Registrar's Office as December Employee Team of the Month. This dynamic duo was nominated by citizen Bruce Davis, who wrote, "I would like to nominate Lynette Wright and her staff for their hard work and dedication for making sure the election season ran smooth. Anytime you had a problem or question, they were willing to get the answers to you as quickly as possible. When entering the office, you could be guaranteed to be greeted with a smile. They gave you their full attention and truly want to see that you get the answer. They stand for what our country is all about, friendly and willing to help to get the job done. The Registrar's Office ensures that the election season runs smoothly while adhering to ever-challenging laws and regulations with a smile and can-do attitude. In November, they were given the challenge to hold state elections, Prince Edward County special elections, and Town of Farmville elections all in one. It was a success. Congratulations to Lynette Wright and Caitlin Bryant on a job well done. Your hard work and dedication shine."
Lynette. This says Employee of the Month. This certifies that Lynette Wright, in honor of your outstanding performance, passion, and dedication to Prince Edward County, awarded this 13th day of December 2022. Thank you so much.
And here, Matt, this is the most important piece.
This is a certificate presented to Ms. Caitlin Bryant in honor of your outstanding performance, passion, and dedication to Prince Edward County, awarded this 13th day of December 2022. Congratulations. And thank you so much for all that.
Since y'all work for them.
No, you're fine.
Make sure I can see your face. 1, 2, 3. Can I see everybody? Bill? Great. Perfect, thank you.
All right. Congratulations again. Good job, wonderful job. Thank you, Annette.
Madam Chair, if I could just add, and I think, this came from someone from the outside, one of our candidates. It's great when the hard work and efforts of our staff are recognized by the general public, and we certainly encourage them to reach out to us and make those submittals for nomination.
Thank you, indeed so. At this time, on the agenda comes to public participation. Public participation is an opportunity for you as citizens to give input on relevant issues, not the subject of a public hearing, and is not intended as a question-answer period. And Mr. Stanley has given me one individual who had signed up online. Mr. Daniel, is that Echo? Eco, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Eco.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Hi, members of the board. I'm calling in from Pennsylvania. As I mentioned, my name is Daniel Lico. The reason for my call this evening is to ask you guys to look into the Prince Edward County current position as a non-voter, non-personal property tax.
Can you speak up a little bit more, please?
I'm sorry.
Can you speak up a little bit more?
Okay, I got it. As it's my understanding, it is within the authority of the board to make any changes to this position. Over the past few weeks, I've done more research on county and state tax codes than I would have ever imagined. The reason being is my wife, Amy, and I getting a sort of stick when it comes to our personal property tax bill for 2022. I was an assistant coach at Hampton City College from 2018 to 2021. Currently, I'm assistant basketball coach at Millersville University in Lancaster, PA. And, for anyone familiar with the coaching profession, it sometimes requires you to move at the drop of a hat. That's what happened to my wife, Amy, and I last fall. I received a job offer in Millersville in fantasy months. November, December 2021, we moved out of our home in Prince Edward County, moved into our new home in Pennsylvania. We lived apart for 6 weeks, not to mention while we was in our first trimester of our pregnancy. So needless to say, when we finally moved into the home in Pennsylvania on December 21st, 2021, last thing on our mind was changing our vehicle registration to Pennsylvania. Now, as a matter of fact, we didn't officially change our registration until January 2022. Why I'm speaking to you guys today. Needless to say, I was surprised when I found out a few weeks ago that I had a bill for $856. The county had not lived in it over a year. I did more research and I realized legally I was on the hook. We did not change our registration until January 2022. Come to find out, Prince Edward is not a prorated county. Additionally, since Pennsylvania does not tax vehicles annually like Virginia, I did not have the option to waive my Virginia tax because I did not have a tax in the state of which I reside. Prince Edward was a prorated county, according to the tax code, we would still be liable for the month of January tax. If that were the case, I'd pay my significantly less amount, move on. Instead, we owe $860, vehicles to be registered for 8 days, stating that we did not legally reside in at all in 2022. I hope this sounds as absurd to you as it does to me. It's been 2 weeks for me, and I still cannot wrap my head around it. I understand it's not consistent with the board to assess individual situations. My purpose tonight was not to have a pity party for me and my family. My plan was to give you all a real-life example of how a bad person acts currently been in his own family before they sick. My hope is that hearing this example, you all use your position of authority to change this policy. Make Prince Edward County a prorated county. Actually tax residents, past, current, and future within the time getting their butt belongs in the county. Not penalize their families moving out of the county at this time of year, leaving bad taste in their mouth. My wife and I are very fond of our memories of Farmville. Needless to say, this experience has powered many of those memories. Hopefully, members of the board, you do the right thing and address much needed change. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eco. And we will make sure that the proper people are addressed of your issue and concern. Thank you much. Are there other individuals who would like to participate in the public participation aspect of the agenda? Okay, if not, we will move on to Board of Supervisors comments. And we're going to start with Harrison.
Well, to begin, I would like to thank each of you for coming out tonight. A wise man once said that eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. So thank you for being here tonight and being vigilant, for being involved in our community. That's what we need. So we're very grateful for that. And second, I would like to thank Mr. Stanley, Ms. Puckett, and the entire courthouse staff for welcoming me with open arms and facilitating a seamless transition. I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with all of you in the months and years to come. And finally, to my fellow board members, I recognize that I am young and I have much to learn. But what a blessing, an honor, and a privilege it is to get to sit alongside each of you to learn from your experience and to grow with you as we serve Prince Edward County together. Thank you.
Thank you. Lou?
Glad to see everyone tonight. Here to welcome these new members to the board. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And I hope all of the public will call if need be and chat with these folks. And any problem they may have, we're here to serve. Thank you again for being here. And Merry Christmas, by the way. We're close.
Patty?
I'd like to say welcome to everyone. I would like to welcome our new board members. We look forward to working with you to keep our county moving forward. I'm really impressed, and I have to say to our administrator, to our staff members, the courthouse is absolutely beautiful, and the lawn, and it is inviting. It is a beautiful place to be in. I'd also like to say to Scott Davis, our town manager, that thank you for you and the town council for all that you're doing to help our communities. You're doing a fantastic job. And again, welcome and Merry Christmas.
Bill?
I've never been around a bunch of people that really was concerned, as I've noticed. Everybody I met up here was real concerned about the county. And that's just wonderful to know that there's no really bickering and barking. Everybody's friendly and happy, and just home folks. They're like home folks, so I'm honored to be sitting with y'all. Y'all are just wonderful people. Different than what I usually deal with, so this is great. This is great. I've been running the business for 50 years. That's the way it is. I'm glad to be here with y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm old, so y'all have, take a little time. You and
Cannon?
Well, welcome, everyone. One of the things we usually point out is if, unless we know it's a problem, it's hard to address. And the people attending and the people calling and getting in touch are the ones that point out some of our shortcomings or odd rules that don't seem applicable or whatever. So engagement is the way to go. And thanks so much, and welcome new members. You're off to a good start.
Jerry?
First of all, just want to welcome everyone here tonight, as always, but
To the new board members, congratulations. Look forward to working with you. And again, we're a team and we all here for one common goal, and that is to do what's best for this county. So welcome aboard, and anything in any way I can be of an assistance, please just feel free to reach out.
David?
I also would like to add on to what they've already said. Thank you all for being here. This is your time to tell us what's going on. Sometimes we don't see it all. We understand that. I'd like to welcome each of the new board members. I'd like to say happy holidays and Merry Christmas to each one of you. If there's anything at all that we can do, don't hesitate to let us know. Even if we're not in the particular districts that you live in.
That's right.
Let us know, because we'll do our best to get it brought to attention.
Thank you. I ditto everything that has been said. I listened to Mr. Jenkins' comments about being old. It's not the age, it's the knowledge that you have and the knowledge that is shared with everyone. To the new members, we welcome you aboard. We want you to know that this has been a board that has worked so well together, and we look forward to the same thing taking place with you as new members. Merry Christmas to everybody. And again, thank you for your attendance tonight. At this time on the agenda, we move to the consent agenda. And I hope you've looked over that.
I'm sure I make a motion to be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and second that the consent agenda be presented. David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes?
Kenan,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. Thank you so much. At this time, we will listen to Community Partners Update from Mr. Scott Davis, Town Manager.
Good evening,
Good
Good
evening.
Board of
evening.
Supervisors, Mr. Stanley. It's my month to be here. I couldn't make it last month because y'all changed the meeting date for me. It was an election or something. So I couldn't, I already had something else that Thursday evening, so I apologize, but I'm here on a December, and Merry Christmas to all of y'all.
Thank you.
Just a few things. As you know, the town is looking at changing our archaic charter, and so that change is moving forward. Delegate Edmonds and Senator Peake have both sponsored a bill for the town on both sides of or in both chambers of the General Assembly for us to move that forward in that process this coming session. Farmville United Methodist Church donated some playground equipment to the town. And so recently, in conversation with some community members and some groups that want to make different areas look better, and we're always willing to partner with that. We are going to, believe it or not, there is a park on Andrews Drive. It doesn't really have a name. It just has a basketball court at this time. But it's used a lot by our residents in that area of town, in that community, part of the community. And so recently there was a group that took their time and donated all of the supplies and their time and built picnic tables and benches. And I think I saw Ms. Cooper Jones in some pictures of that.
Working.
And so we want to take this equipment and start to enhance that area. And so we're going to be putting that donated playground equipment, and so that folks that live in that area of the town of Farmville will be able to have more than just a basketball court. So, and it'll add to the work that's been done recently. Tomorrow night, there'll be a public hearing and amending the zoning ordinance regarding regulations of height of certain structures and architectural features. Later on in the month, we'll have a special meeting and a public hearing on December the 28th to take comment and hopefully adopt an ordinance that will seal the ability for us to sign a contract or sale agreement, a final sale agreement and deed on the sale of the Farmville Municipal Golf Course. The town is also looking at purchasing a new fire engine to replace an 18-year-old piece of apparatus, the current engine. And so we, actually, the new fire chief and some of the volunteers that are on a committee just recently went to Wisconsin, to Pierce, to look at decking out and building a new truck. And so we're excited about that and moving forward in enhancing our fire department with equipment. And then lastly, as most of you will be seeing in the future, and Mr. Stanley is getting ready to do the same as I am, we will be tackling the fiscal year 23-24 budget process, and so that we can build a better community for all of our citizens alongside Prince Edward County in the new year. Happy to take any questions or comments. Hearing none, I'm gonna go eat some dinner. Y'all have a great meeting.
Thank you, Scott. Merry Christmas and thanks for all you do. At this time, we are gonna skip number 10 and move to item 11 on the agenda. Highway Matters with Mr. Scott Frederick, who is the VDOT resident engineer.
Good evening, Madam Chair and
Good evening.
Board. Thank you for having me. Welcome, new members. I look forward to working with you as we move forward. I'll start my update out tonight with some discussion, I guess, about the 460-307 interchange. It's been talked about many times from me standing here and with you guys. The sheriff wrote a letter requesting a speed reduction, and everybody's had their eye on it. I think the whole time I've been resident engineer here. We built that smart scale project out there, which completed in November of 2020. And that whole project was built to reduce rear end collisions that were occurring out there. It was like, there was a number of them that had occurred. And those went away. We took that stop condition out for the merge onto 460 westbound, and that part of it worked. But what we've noticed since November of 2020, that angle crashes and road departures have like drastically increased. There's been 10 angle crashes recorded and 17 road departures recorded. The amount of skid marks that are on the islands out there, I think there's a number of people that have had accidents that haven't recorded the accident. So we've realized there was a problem going on, and about a year ago, we added striping to try to make people more aware that that right lane was going to peel off and go onto 307. We put the shields down, we call them, where the left lane has a shield that says 460 WB, right lane says 307. We added rumble strips to alert the drivers. We increased signage, like things like that. We call them countermeasures, and it doesn't seem like we did enough when we did it, but we were hopeful at that time that that was going to fix it. But in the last week, we've gone out there and we enlarged the stop sign on 307. So if you come up, it's now a 48-inch stop sign, help get your attention there. We double indicated the yield sign coming off of 460 westbound to make a right onto 307 to grab your attention there. On 307, when you're approaching the intersection, we added a flashing yellow light to the stop ahead sign to, maybe if it's dark out and you're not paying full attention, it forces you to look at it and stop, you see the message stop ahead on the sign. Should help to slow you down to negotiate the S-curve to make that maneuver. But we've also deployed 3 message boards. They're going to be out there temporarily, but they're going to stay in place until we make some other changes. That I'm working through a long list of what we're about to do. So I'm just telling you what we've done recently. But on 460 westbound, we have one that says, it's sitting on the right shoulder and it says 460 westbound, and then it flashes to another message that says use left lane. And we had that one in place a long time ago, and I think it was effective when it was out there. But then when we added those striping changes, we took it away because we didn't want to leave it out there forever because they're not normally a permanent thing. So the other 2 message boards that I mentioned are on 307, and they're both pointed back so that if you're approaching the intersection, they say stop ahead 300 feet. We put one on the left side where you can see it from further away, and then as you get closer, you can see the other one that's on the right shoulder. And I think that's really going to alert people to slow down, because a lot of the road departures, I think, are coming off 307, and they're going way too fast and lose control that way. There was a 18-wheeler accident about 2.5 weeks ago where that guy flipped over and then slid across 460. So I think that was speed. Speed was a contributing factor on that one. And on one of the other things that we've gotten done was we relocated a one-way sign and added a divided highway sign in the island. So that's kind of where it was supposed to be in the first place, I believe. But we tried to minimize some of the sign clutter. We also took down some of the do not enter and wrong way signs that were on 460. That it was 4 extra signs out there that really didn't add to helping drivers see what was going on. So we took those down. And then something that was deployed today, we put a portable camera out there so that our TOC and our traffic engineering people can have like a live feed on what's going on out there and see for themselves what drivers are doing. Some of the things that we've put orders in for that we haven't got yet, but we should have soon. I say soon, it could be a few more weeks or a month. But we have some red object markers placed on the right shoulder, I say right shoulder. They're across the intersection from 307. So as you're coming up, they're like diamond-shaped red signs. There are going to be 3 of them. So that as you're seeing it, you know you can't go straight, and it should at least alert you that you might need to stop and do something other than what you're doing. And then we have some of them on hand, and we're going to start putting them out. And we need to order more to do everything we want to do with them. But they're a white flex post. Some people call them hip posts or a bollard, but it's a flexible delineator. We're going to put some on the 307 approach to help divide off the right turners. We're going to also have them come off that island and divide the through lane on 460 from the lane that merges onto 307 onto 460. So I think some drivers come up that and they feel like it's an entrance ramp and they immediately move into the left lane of 460. And we all know, I guess, once you make that move, it just becomes its own lane. So it's going to help channelize the people down that. And then we're also going to have them leading up to the intersection on 460 to have the right turn lane delineated. So if you're in that lane, you can't jump back out of it at the last minute and maybe get hit by a left turner coming 460 eastbound onto 307. So that's a maneuver that we think was happening. People in the right lane, person that's turning thinks they're gonna not be a problem, and then they jump out of the turn lane and get hit. So I think that's what we figured out over the last couple of years, I'll say. But then some other things that we have ordered that you'll see is a LED stop ahead sign. The town of Farmville has some, so everybody should be familiar with them. The perimeter of the sign is going to have flashing LED lights to draw your attention to it. So once that comes in, we're going to put it in place. And then some changes that are coming that are further out. I gave the county administrator a plan that's not all the way final, but we're going to stripe 460 down to 1 lane. If you're traveling westbound, it'll go down to 1 lane back near where our first signage is, those big green signs on the shoulders of the road. We're going to put everybody down to 1 lane in the left lane towards the median. That way you're already where you need to be to make it through the intersection. And to make a right turn on 307, that will be a deliberate move where you'll have to get in a turn lane and turn. So if you're daydreaming, not paying attention, or whatever else may be the case, and you're in that lane, you'll get through. You won't go across the islands. So I think that's going to fix it. We're planning to repave 460, and we're going to implement those changes when we repave, which we'll have the paving work done by May 19th. This is how we've adjusted our paving schedule to get it all done. We're fearful that if we were to act now and try to stripe it, you have to grind lines up, and then it kind of becomes confusing with headlights and where lines used to be and pavement joints and stuff. So we're trying to minimize confusion by doing it when we repave. So I think I've told you guys about everything that, oh wait, I'm glad I double checked. We're also working on dynamic flashing yellow light on 460. It'll be similar to the one that's out in the Pamplin area. When a car pulls up on 307, lights will flash on 460. So it'll say, watch for turning vehicles. So we're still in the design process with that. It's probably a little further out than the striping changes. And then we're also working on a design for overhead lighting. So at night, light up the intersection. That's a little bit further out. We have to figure out, we have to design it and then obviously figure out how to pay for it. And then we still haven't said all the way no on the sheriff's letter. But we want to implement all the stuff I just talked about and see if it works before we move towards reducing the speed limit. Because there's a thing called the 85th percentile speed, and it's where 85% of drivers feel comfortable going that speed. And as of like current numbers that we've been reviewing, people approaching that intersection still feel comfortable going 60, 65 miles an hour. So that's where people will try to drive, and I think you'll have a certain level of non-compliance with a lower speed limit. And then you'll have some people that will comply with it. So you have potential for a conflict there with faster and slower cars. So we'd hate to lower the speed limit and have that cause a problem. It's not off the table. It's just something we're not doing yet. So, and then another thing that I did want to mention, when people see that camera out there, that it's not recording, it's only a live feed. So if somebody's to request footage from it, we really don't have that. We don't store footage from any of our cameras. We don't have the server space. And we also, I guess it would be something that would, could cause legal. We'd get a lot of requests for footage if we kept it, so we don't. But, so that's the biggest thing I wanted to update you guys on there. Another totally different topic, but on 15 South, the bridge that goes over the railroad is currently being worked on. It was inspected, and they call it a bearing seat, but it's where a beam sits on what I'd call like the foundation of the bridge. The concrete was spalling, and one of the beams didn't have a good bearing anymore. And in order to not close the bridge, we had to put it down to one lane. They're gonna cut a hole in the deck, put a temporary support for that beam, and then fix the bad spot on the foundation of the bridge. And then they'll take out the temporary work and patch the deck, and patch some other spots in the deck as well, and then open it back up to 2 lanes. And we're thinking we can have it all done in 4 weeks. But so I wanted to point out that's not a permanent situation out there, but we'll get it repaired and we'll get it back open again. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about was, I think I forgot to put a Post-it note on here that's on my desk, but Administrator Stanley asked me to look at the Prince Edward County School morning traffic. And I've looked at it a lot. I mean, I go through it every morning, but I think there's a lot of different ideas about what could be done out there to alleviate some of the morning congestion. But I don't think you could ever get any 2 people to both propose the same idea. But I mean, we've talked about it at VDOT several times. I've discussed it with the county several times, but the ideas range from everything from like somehow figure out how to have more kids ride the bus, stagger the start times at the school, make it a one-way road on Zion Hill to where you can get in and drop your kids off and then come back out Granite Falls. Or you could somehow put a temporary barricade in the middle to make some schools serviced by some sides and other schools serviced by the other side, access from the other direction. All the different ideas that get proposed have made me realize that we need to have like a work group, I'll call it, like a task force, It would certainly have me, VDOT, and maybe a traffic engineer. The sheriff should probably come, the county, the school board, PTA, and we should really iron out a plan. Because VDOT would certainly be interested in helping, and, ideally, we could come up with a solution that we wouldn't have to put any asphalt down, we wouldn't have to buy school buses, we could put in some no right turn, no left turn, channelize the traffic a certain way, and really get some efficiency out of that situation. 'Cause one or two left turners or a parent that decides to throw it in park in the wrong spot can mess the whole thing up. So if we could kind of safeguard against a few of those kind of things, I think we could improve the situation. I don't know if we could ever cure school traffic, because it's an event every morning at the same time where everybody goes there. So you're always going to have to deal with the traffic. But we may be able to make it better, but I think we need to have a team to do it. So I just wanted to put that out there and figure out a next step. I think we should certainly have some goals for the task force of maybe having their plan finished for the start of next school year. And if there's any low-hanging fruit, we could maybe do that in the interim. But starting the next school year would be a good approach, in my opinion. So as far as routine maintenance goes, I think I know for a fact we're finishing up mowing for the final time of this growing season. Doing some litter pickup, and we got snowflakes in the forecast for late next week. Hopefully they'll go away, but we're planning to leave this week with our snow brining equipment mounted up and our other snow equipment ready to go. So getting ready for the new year. It's been sort of, this time of year, a lot of people have use it or lose it vacation time, so our staff gets smaller and we work on all the cleaning up, tidying everything up, doing our training. But that's all I came prepared to present on tonight. I was going to open it up to the board to see if you guys had concerns or questions that I could address.
Any supervisor with a concern for Scott?
You checked out the crossing over the railroad there at Sulphur Spring, not Sulphur Spring, Spring Creek,
Spring Creek.
far in, right on County Line Road.
I want to say by the time I got the comment to the area headquarters, there was an edge rut right by it, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that, when you cross over that, it ain't longer than a 24-foot trail that hangs up on the railroad.
Oh, that's right.
Coming off the county line, coming on to Spring Creek, or going from Spring Creek on the county line.
I'm going to have to thank you for reminding me, but we'll get to it. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
What about Herzog Road? You anything else on that?
Herzog Road?
Yeah, the bridge.
That's the bridge over the railroad that isn't yours.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought we figured that one out.
That's in the hands of the state corporation.
Okay. No feedback yet?
No,
Trey? Okay.
That came up a couple years ago, and we pushed a little bit, and they actually came out and changed some timbers out.
yes,
They
there's
did.
Another timber project.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Yeah.
back to the rail division of the state corporation.
Okay.
You may need a new road entrance.
On Herzog?
Yeah,
360.
off of Mahern Road.
I was going to, it used to go through, and I think, I don't know, at a certain point in time, I think it was taken off the books.
If you don't, you won't be able to continue to go across that bridge because it's unsafe. And
Well, we could certainly
fire and rescue.
talk about that.
Okay, thank
The
you so
fire
much,
chief
Scott.
says it's a huge concern.
Okay. Yeah, well, we can certainly address it. I think the part on the far side of the bridge is no longer state easement or right of way, so that would have to be dedicated over first. And then I think for about the last 10 years, we don't take roads in the system that aren't up to our standards. So it
Right.
becomes a little bit of a can of worms, but we can certainly talk about options.
Madam Chair, I have one thing, the
Gotcha.
pretty badly.
Oliver in hard times, yes. I can certainly have that looked at.
And that camera that you mentioned at 307, for weather events, is it possible that emergency management, sheriff's office could have access, remote access? So we could follow road conditions if it's gonna be up there?
I believe, yeah, if it stays there that long, we can all get access. I think they're gonna put it on 511 if they keep it out there.
Okay,
Um,
that'd be terrific.
right now, it's only TOC people,
Right.
and traffic engineering.
I knew that for those temporary ones that we were using for special events, we were able to get, I'm gonna say login access. But yeah, if that's possible,
Yes, ma'am.
it'd be great to have.
Yeah, right now, I don't even have access to it, so, but I want access to, and I think getting it put on 511 is the easiest way to get us all on there, so.
Well, we're happy to make that request if it would help your case.
Yeah, absolutely.
You weren't here last month, but I want to thank you for a job well done on Bowling Flanor Road.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I'll pass
Excellent
that on.
job.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott.
All right, thank you, board.
It's on the 511.
Oh, it's already up there. They must have made that change today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, the time is arriving, in fact, is past for us to begin our public hearings for the evening. And sir, if you would present our first one.
Madam Chair and members of the board, currently the District 7 West End Precinct 701 polling place is located at the Farmville Volunteer Fire Department. Following the November 8th election, the fire department will no longer be available, and the town has kindly offered and approved moving the polling place to the Farmville train station. So the first step in making that move is an amendment to Chapter 42, Elections of the County Code, and that amendment will require a public hearing, which you have advertised for tonight's meeting. And the amendment specifically that will be made is on the bottom of page 101, which is solely, we're changing the location, the polling place location there for District 7 West End. County administrator got the sign-in sheet.
No one has signed up, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a comment on that? So at this time, sir, do we make a motion or recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Following the public hearing, there is because this subsequent to the board's action will, after the public hearing and the board action, the county will then have to request a certificate of no objection from the Office of the Attorney General, Office of Civil Rights. So we developed a resolution that outlines all of the board's actions and why, so that it would explain to the Office of the Attorney General what we were doing and why. Okay. So you would accept or approve the amendment and then approve the resolution and authorize, I guess, the county administrator to make that submittal to the Office of the Attorney General.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
That is closed. Thank you so much. We move on to the second one. Mr. Stanley, will you present that for us?
So, Madam Chair, so has the board voted to?
I will move that.
Yeah, that's what I would ask.
Move that the Board of Supervisors approves the proposed amendment, Chapter 42, Elections of the County Code, to move the District 7 West End Precinct 701 polling place from the Farmville Volunteer Fire Department to the Farmville train station, and adopt the attached resolution that affirms the action of the board.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and second that the Board of Supervisors approve the proposed amendment where we move the District 7 West End polling place from the Farmville Volunteer Fire Department to the Farmville train station. David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kenna,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. So moved. Closed. Okay, moving to our second notice, Mr. Stanley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, at its November 8th, 2022 meeting, the board approved an emergency ordinance to add section 70-6 to chapter 70 taxation of the county code. The emergency ordinance established a due date, interest, and collection fee for real estate, personal property, machinery, tools, and vehicle license fee tax payments. Additionally, the emergency ordinance provided that the penalty for late payment and interest imposed on late payment for tax year 2022 should not be imposed until January 6th of 2023. Section 15.2-1427 of the Code of Virginia provides that an emergency ordinance will expire 60 days from the day of enactment. November 8th, 2022 is the date of enactment. Unless sooner declared void by the Board of Supervisors or adopted following a properly advertised public hearing. To enable section 70-6 to be added permanently to chapter 70, the board authorized a public hearing for this meeting. In your packet, you have a copy of the public hearing notice, a copy of the draft ordinance. The recommendation from staff is the board will wish to consider adopting the ordinance to amend chapter 70 taxation to add that section 70-6. And there are no individuals that have signed up.
Okay. Okay, if there aren't any further comments or questions, we will close that and we are ready for the vote.
Actually, Madam Chair, can you ask anybody from the public? I'm not sure if anybody from the
Oh,
public.
yeah, I'm sorry, yes. Anybody from the public, would you like to speak? I just assumed they didn't. No one? Thank you. So at this time, could we have a motion from the board for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved that the board adopt the ordinance to amend Chapter 70 of the Prince Edward County Code and to add Section 70.6 for due date, interest, and collection fee for real estate, personal property and machinery, and tools tax and vehicle license fee payments. Ready for the vote? David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Yes. Odessa, yes. So moved and approved. Public hearing is now closed. Moving to item 12 on the agenda, citizen appointments. Sarah.
Madam Chair and members of the board, annually, the Board of Supervisors appoints the members of the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals typically every December. We have advertised the vacancies. We have 1 county position and 3 town position whose terms expire at the end of December. And then we have 1 member of the Board of Zoning Appeals for which the board makes a recommendation to the circuit court judge, and the circuit court judge actually makes that appointment. So in your board pack tonight, starting on page 118, are the applications for all of the citizens who wish to be considered for these positions.
Okay. Okay, what is the feeling of the board?
Same, it's just the same applicants that's currently hold those positions, am I correct?
Yes, sir. Each of the incumbents submitted a citizen volunteer application requesting reappointment.
No other
Can-
No other candidates, no other citizens submitted an application.
I'm fine with them.
I make a motion, or Jared, I'll make a motion that we accept them as presented.
I'm seconding it.
A motion has been made and second that we make them as presented. Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Odessa, yes. So moved, Sarah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, item 13, event permit applications. Sarah?
Yes, ma'am. So we have 2 event permits for the board's consideration. Item 13A is for a dog trial for Jack Russell Terriers. This event is tentatively scheduled for March the 11th and 12th at the 5-county fairgrounds. Pretty confident that this is a repeat at least once from a previous year. This event is scheduled from 8 to 5. Estimated number of attendees is 75. It'll have all of the support of the infrastructure of the 5-county fairgrounds. They're indicating no food sales and no music. And this event is for your consideration.
Move that we approve.
Okay, it's been, a motion is made for approval. David? I'm sorry, Patty.
Second.
So approved in second. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa? So moved. Okay,
The second event permit application is for the Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity. This is their annual alumni social event, and I know we have Trey and Nick in the audience. So the county received an event permit application from Alpha Sigma Phi. This event is tentatively scheduled for Saturday, April the 22nd from 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Its location would be a privately owned field just past the 911 address of 873 Vaughn Road, which is a dead-end road off of Olive Branch Road between Prospect and Elam area of the county. So there were a number of attachments included in this. So I'm going to just kind of move through the summary, but if you have specific questions about any of the attachments, I'm happy to stop. But I know there was a lot of information attached to this. So there are a number of items to review. So beginning with this event was held last year. And in 2022, the county permitted 500 tickets, and which would place the estimated attendance at about 550 participants. The fraternity is requesting that they be allowed to sell 900 tickets this year and 950 persons in attendance. For sanitation, because this is a remote location, it has no infrastructure like the 5-county fairgrounds. The Virginia Department of Health Regulations would require 1 porta-john per 100 people. So if the board were to consider the 900 that they are requesting, that would be 9 porta-johns and then 1 hand washing station per 5 porta-johns. So I'm going to tell you, I would recommend you round up and say that there would be 2. Yes, ma'am. The trash, the fraternity has indicated that the members will clean the property and the surrounding area after the event and the following day. We received no complaints of trash, and in fact, the Monday following the event, I live west of this location, but on that Monday morning, I went to the end of Vaughn Road so that I could personally observe, what I'm going to say the remnants of the event were, and there were no remnants. There was nothing. And the sheriff's in the room, so I'm going to let the sheriff speak up for any knowledge that he has about, what his department may have responded to. Food and water, just like last year, the fraternity will provide water and snacks and plan to solicit 2 food trucks to sell food at the event, but those are not yet confirmed. Is that correct? Okay. Again, last year, the fraternity contracted with Peavers for an on-scene standby unit from 11 to 5, and staff would recommend that we require this as a condition again this year for the permit. Parking, all of the parking must be on private property. There's a section of the Code of Virginia as one of those attachments. And so all of the parking would be beyond that 911 marker, none along the shoulders of Vaughn Road. And again, to the best of my knowledge, Supervisor Emmert, I know, has received phone calls in the past, but there were no complaints of parking or traffic issues at all from any of the neighbors on Vaughn Road, and that is a unpaved road, so it would be pretty noticeable pretty quickly if there were issues. For security and safety, the fraternity has indicated that they will hire 2 private security officers, and that I think they also have members of the fraternity that I'm going to say kind of rotate and participate. So we would recommend this again to the board as a permit condition. The presence of alcohol, which needless to say, I think for all of us, the underage possession by consumption and driving under the influence are probably the things that we are the most worried about. We last year spoke extensively with ABC, and no permit is required because the event is on private property. Now, I know that the fraternity has to follow university rules because they are an organization of the fraternity. So that governs a lot of, of what their actions and what their rules are beyond the county and beyond ABC. Again, to the best of our knowledge, there were no neighborhood complaints and no other reports of alcohol accidents or incidents. Trey actually checked the CAD for both the sheriff's office and the 911 center for that entire day, and there were no accidents or incidents. However, we would remain concerned about speed and driver impairment, especially on those rural and secondary roads. The one thing we noted in more in-depth review was that last year y'all had designated drivers, and we didn't notice a mention of those this year, but we think that's a good idea.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Actually, we'll be having more designated
Okay.
drivers this year.
Terrific. And then again, last year, we coordinated closely with the Virginia State Police, and they had indicated their intention to have the directed patrols the day of the event. So again, we would work with the sheriff and, contact the state police and make them aware. So with all of that, to the best of, our knowledge, that's the most the county can do in terms of the presence of alcohol at the event. So the big change from last year to this year is, I'm going to say, or the possible big change is going to be in the noise. So in 2022, there was no band. For 2023, the fraternity is requesting to add a band and a stage. There is a county noise ordinance, and they're familiar with it and know what the requirements are. The closest neighbor is approximately 900 to 1,000 feet. And I will say, it is a daytime event. So those are 2 pluses for the location. And the estimated location is on 28-acre parcel. So, they've got lots of room there to make noise. You will have to coordinate with the building official who's sitting behind you on what you're going to do about the stage, if there's a tent, and if you're planning to have electric feeds to that stage, because all of those may require a permit. So that's why it's a lucky thing that Philip Moore is here. So university involvement, again, the fraternity has noted that the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, the Vice President for Student Affairs, and the Longwood University Chief of Police are all aware of the date, location, and the details of this event. And we would again ask the board to require that in this case, the owner of the property furnish the board the written permission or right of entry for the board, its lawful agents, or duly constituted law enforcement officers to enter the property during the event. Only the property of the event, not the homeowner's personal residence. And then again, should the board elect to approve the permit, county staff will coordinate with all of the agencies that we did last year. And, I dare say I think it was a good event. Supervisor Emmert, I know you have received calls in the past from citizens in that area, on that road, that were very unhappy. I'm not aware that yeah. So, so with that, the sample motion is quite lengthy. There are a couple of blanks that you would need to fill in, including the board's, how many, what that cap on attendance is, and then that cap on attendance drives, the number of porta-johns, the number of hand washing stations, and then I left the blank for the number of security officers. They have said they would have 2. If the board is comfortable with that, we can fill that blank in. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Nick and Trey are happy to answer any questions, if we can.
Madam Chair.
Yes, but before you ask yours, Lou, my biggest concern is the number. And I'm very much aware that the event went very well, but you're moving from 550 participants to 950? That's quite a jump.
You're almost doubling the,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
That would be my basic concern.
Yes, ma'am. Our biggest thing with increasing the number of tickets possibly available would be to provide a more charitable donation for one of our 5 main philanthropies. We understand that it's a very big jump, but we would really love to change the name of this event from the way it was in the past. And I know that was a very negative thing to something that does get to this community, our philanthropies.
Okay. Lou?
You mentioned 28 acres. Is this all open land? I'm thinking about parking for vehicles. It may be 500 vehicles. Are you having shuttles bringing people back and forth?
To our knowledge, we've never had any issues. Well, just from the way last year went, we cut about a quarter of that field and it held all 500 people in there and their vehicles. So especially with the way Longwood is now with their designated driving systems, a lot of organizations that are not our own have their own shuttles that bring in people and bring them out. So that was another way we kind of mitigated some of the issues where it does seem like it would be like all 900 people driving themselves, but a lot of people will just hop in their organization's designated drivers and then go to and from the event.
Supervisor Young, if you look at page 142, there's a property aerial shows, say, maybe 60% of the property is open.
I think I'm going to say the biggest challenge would be, Supervisor Gillum, is if it were to, if they were to have significant rainfall prior to the event, I mean, that could be a challenge for parking, ultimately. But otherwise, it's a pretty large area. And I think I tried to put on those maps, also the location to give you an idea of where how far the adjoining property owners were away. So that 569 is the closest.
Page 141.
And then again on 142, you can see,
I have a question. Do you have a weather contingency plan?
Usually the event is rain or shine. However, if there is something drastic, then public safety is of the most important to us.
Thank you.
Liability insurance?
I think that is covered through our national organization. However, I'll make sure to check and then, if possible, we will figure out a plan for that. But I do believe we are insured by our national.
It bothers me a little bit where the landowner would stand if it was a problem.
last year, the county did check with our insurance, and the county has no liability for issuing the permit for, if there were activities or aftermath associated with the event.
It just bothers me, some of the things you hear on the news. I think it was Texas where somebody went nuts and went to shooting with a rifle, killed a bunch of people. It just, you get 900 people together in one rescue squad unit and something drastically goes wrong, it really turns into an episode for sure.
That could happen at any college sporting event. That happen hundreds every Saturday in every state. I discount that.
Safety is at the top of the list.
Any other boards members' concerns?
I think they got a history of positive outcomes so far, so that's the track record. I think they had one several years ago, David, am I correct? But so far, it's been doing the right thing, and That, something could happen with 50 people. So, David, I'm gonna defer to David, your district.
In the past, they had quite a bit of trouble, but as of the event 2 years ago, it has not been, no issue whatsoever.
So that's a motion.
I'll make a motion.
If you could help us stipulate, fill in some of those blanks and stipulate the conditions. They're on page 135.
35, I see.
First of all, I'd ask the board, is there, we heard from one person about the number, don't have any problem with them going to the 900?
I don't.
Did you feel like there was demand
Yes,
last time?
We had lots of our fellow students that were wishing to come, and we unfortunately had to turn them away because we wanted to stick to our cap.
Let me ask you something about the security. Now, you had two there last year, Sheriff? How many?
So there was 2 that we hired out, and then we have our brothers, we rotate around, and we provide assistance.
I would recommend you double that, since you doubling your numbers. You had 2 last year with 500. You need to have, I would recommend 4.
I agree.
Since we're concerned about security, can we ask Sheriff Epps if he would like to share his input on this greater number of participants and what he would recommend?
You know, my only concern is the traffic.
Mhm.
We want the party goers and the residents to be safe. When's this thing going to end? What time?
4 p.m.
4.
I like it.
And we did say that that the event will cease at 4, and the premises have to be vacated by guests. I know people may still be cleaning, but the guests need to vacate the premises by 5. And that,
For sure, if you can sell 900 tickets.
Yes, sir.
We controlled it last year, so we didn't have any issues last year. If it rains 3 inches, where y'all gonna park?
I think that would be something we would definitely debate about and provide many reminders to our on-campus organizations to please provide more DDs because we will have limited parking and we don't have any parking on the premises. That stuff, I apologize, but if we have that much rainfall, that's something we can't even predict, so hopefully people will be understanding of that.
On the route patrol again this year, we did state police patrol with us last year, didn't have any. A lot of traffic at one time leaving there, but no accidents, so that's all.
I recommend 4. You hired, those your hired, the security, right? Yeah, you need to double that.
So in H, you're saying 4.
Yeah.
In A, where we left it blank, we're saying 900.
950.
950, yeah.
All right. And for C, you're gonna say, that's gonna be 9 porta johns and 2 of your hand washing stations. There'll be 9 porta johns, 2 hand washing stations, and 4 security officers. 950 is the cap on your sales. All right, that's-
and then all other recommendations.
All other recommendations that are provided.
You think 2 hand washing stations enough?
That's what the health department, recommends
They
1 per
recommend
5.
Per 5.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will also say we do provide hand sanitizer near our
Okay.
food stations to make sure people are staying sanitary. I feel like that's very simple.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks, sir.
All right, and I move that we. One second. I move that we approve this with 950 participants, 9 porta johns, and 2 hand washing stations, and the hiring of 4 security officers.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and approved, and with the amendment for 950 participants, 9 porta johns, 2 hand washing stations, and 4 security officers. All those in favor? Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa, yes. So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good luck, young man, with your function.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job responding, too. Yeah, you did.
Okay, at this time, we will have county department year-end updates. And we ask you to limit your comments to 5 minutes or fewer. Okay, the first will be animal control. Chris?
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
And I wanted to congratulate our recent electees. Congratulations again. I look forward to working with you and to continue to work with the rest of the board. And I'm here tonight. One, I want to introduce my deputy officer, Ariel Whitmer. For those of you who have not met her or don't know her, we are Animal Control. I'm 50% and she's 50%. And so that ties in with our year end. I have some statistics and some accomplishments for you, and then some things that we're currently working on in some of your districts, just to let you know. So this year, just like last year, it has been tough on us to get animals out. The rescues are full, just as we are. We have begged, borrowed, and stolen as we could to try to convince them to come take dogs and cats. We are sitting right now at just above the 200 animal mark for the shelter. And to give you a little bit of insight into that, some other counties blow us out of the water with animals that they bring in. But for us, we have the 11 runs at our current shelter. And so if you were to take 220, which is probably very close to what we will end with by the end of the year, if those animals, which dictated by the state, are held for 10 days, which is a animal with a known owner or a suspected owner, we have to hold it for 10 days. For those 220 animals, we would hold them if only for that 10-day period, and then we're able to immediately get them out upon county possession. It would take us just a month over 6, or just shy of a month over 6 months to cycle all of those animals through our shelter if they were immediately able to vacate. And so not all of our animals are able to do that, obviously. Some take much longer for different reasons, whether it's behavioral health, so forth. And so that just kind of gives you a little bit of insight onto how we hold them. We try to get them out as quickly as possible, but unfortunately, as in the last couple of years, our trend has been as soon as we get an opening, we are filling it with a waiting list that we have that's running constantly. And so that's where we're sitting with our stray animals. We're diligently working to pick them up for citizens, and sometimes messages get minced through the different cords that they're sent through, but we will not tell a citizen no, as we can't. But what we do sometimes have to tell them is, we will accept this, just not at this particular moment. We have to make space for you, and as soon as we can, we will help you. We want to help you. It's going to be as quickly as possible. And so that has always been our message to our citizens, and that will continue to be our message to them, is that we're there to help them, and we're going to do it in a timely fashion as we can. And so that's our numbers. We also deal with agricultural animals. This year has not been tremendous on us. We have had an occasional call. Part of that, we're working towards getting some more equipment. One of our accomplishments, we were able to take a class. We're able to take a class on large animal rescue, which certified us to be able to work to get access to and save large animals, horses, cows, even some of the smaller agricultural animals, if they were to fall into a pool, a well, a sewage or silage pit, and so forth. We gained some resources with some of our partner counties to be able to get access to equipment to do that. We also were certified in a FEMA course on emergency sheltering for animals, large and small, and we also were certified as a fear-free shelter, which is a growing trend in the animal shelter community to try to reduce the stress and anxiety produced by being in what would equate to a jail or detainment setting for an animal. And so we've strived to take any certification class or any training that we can, and we will continue to do so because it betters us and it betters our community and the county as a whole. With that, we are constantly striving to get our equipment to be the best that we can have and to match what the needs are for the county and to national needs. We thank you. We have two very fine vehicles that you guys provided for us. We have had them outfitted as emergency vehicles. We have a large assortment of equipment that we are accumulating and continue to accumulate as our needs dictate. We also had them striped and lettered so that we are very visible when we show up, so that, one, we don't alarm citizens when we're showing up at their house. They know who we are. And then also so that other citizens see us in the community. So it's not a question of where were we, what are we doing? Because frankly and earnestly, that is one of our largest complaints, is people will question, they'll call in. In fact, Harrison, I'll say we have an issue in your district. We have a number of citizens that have contacted us, and we have looked into the issue. We have prepared a plan to take action on it. In fact, I have a folder here of notices that we will go, and we will put a notice on every door in that community in the next day or two. And but in the meantime, while we were preparing to do that, we got additional calls asking why haven't we already taken care of the problem. And we try to be as honest with them as we can, that we are 100%, the two of us, of animal control. And we are also tasked with a 354 square mile community with approximately 22,000 other people that at any point can call on us. We're not prioritizing one community over the other. We take them as the call comes in. And then we also have to research it because we don't immediately necessarily know the ins and outs of the complaint, what we need to do, what's our best course of action. And so we tell them we have to work for you and towards our resolution, and just to please be patient with us, especially if we do have a call about an attack or something that's public safety minded, that will take precedent over, for instance, a dog running at large or so forth. And so I wanted you to pass that on to any constituent that is in your community that needs our services. Also, please don't hesitate to call us if you don't have our personal numbers. We will provide them for you. If you need to get in touch with us, absolutely do so. And if you have any questions or concerns for us, we'll be glad to take them, answer them. Any suggestions for us, anything that you want to?
Lou, think you have a question?
Something I meant to ask you, last time I saw you and I forgot. Do y'all do any, like, take pictures of cats, dogs that people can adopt, put them on a website or anything, or lost and found? And
We do. We had a volunteer that was doing that for us. Unfortunately, they moved out of the state. And so, and I'll put that one on us. We slacked a little bit in the course of our duties. We can do better taking the pictures and posting them on Facebook and on social media for citizens to see. But typically that is what we will do. We will send emails to all the rescues, and we'll make sure that that's also included on social media, because we have seen a stark increase on citizen activity and involvement with the use of social media now that we're able to do that. And Mr. Gillum, also wanted to point out, in your district, we had an incident with a wildlife animal recently, and that has prompted us. We are working on a plan that we will bring to you in the near future once it's completed, where we're partnering with the health department for a animal bite / rabies exposure plan that we will produce for the county.
What was it?
Had a skunk. I've yet to receive confirmation on it, but it did go after a horse.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Mr. That.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, building and grounds. Randy.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board.
Good evening.
Following is a summary of the projects this past year by the Public Works Departments. Replacement of the cannery boiler, pressure reducing valves and steam cutoffs. Replacement of the courthouse chiller and pumps. Power washing of the courthouse. Front lawn demolition and renovation. Installation of a new courthouse telephone system. Stripping, waxing, and buffing of floors in the courthouse. Reseal the asphalt and restripe parking areas at the Sandy River Reservoir and at the agricultural building. Leaking roof was repaired at the county shop. We navigated the EVA State of Virginia purchasing site to receive quotes on a truck for our building inspector and a dump body truck for the Public Works, which you approved, and we thank you. We installed new signage at the landfill and convenience sites. The cupola is scheduled for repair and painting this spring. We're waiting for our contractor to replace flooring in the ground floor hallways. Work should start there the first of the year. Replacement of the magistrate and sheriff's department exterior doors is also scheduled as parts become available. Renovation plans at the Yak Attack building are in process, as well as renovations to the agricultural building reception area. Our daily, weekly, and monthly duties include: we've painted the visitor center roof, installed new floor in the front reception area of the visitor center. We're painting in various areas of the courthouse, walls, trims, and elevator doors. We're painting the common areas and hallways and bathrooms in the agricultural building. We maintain the grounds of the courthouse, the agricultural building, the old clerk's office, the debtor's prison, the animal shelter, the Sandy River Reservoir parking area, Scope building, Department of Social Services. At the convenience sites, we cut brush from around the perimeter of the convenience sites, sprayed weed and brush killer, repaired lighting, and weed eated to help maintain the sites. We've trimmed the trees around the cannery and repaired leaking pipes there. We've bush hogged the IDA properties on Commerce Drive, Dominion Drive, and Persimmon Fork Road, including the cutting the grass at the Lockwood property, which is designated as the HIP property. Repaired shafts in our air handling units. We built squirrel cages. We have 2 HVAC units which the drives have failed on, and we have contracts to repair them. However, parts won't be available till around April. We rotted the sewer line from shredded several times. Seems we don't have enough fall to the sewer system, and Josh Bauer, our architect with Crabtree, Roy Barr, and Associates, is looking into this. We're periodically taking water meter readings at the manor and checking the sewer pump station there. We're having issues there with the controls there. We have drives that are failing. Our level switch has become inoperable, and hopefully next week I'll have a contractor out there to look at that to give us some input on what we need to do to get the station back up to proper running condition. We've been working with a local Eagle Scout, Barrett Motter, who is designing plans to install a bench at the Sandy River Reservoir and a couple of trees. So hopefully you'll hear more about that as he gets that designed and brings that forth to us. All these things are only possible with the support and help of my hardworking staff. Sarah Trent and Florence Hatcher are working to keep the courthouse clean and sanitized. They are assisted by our part-time housekeeper, Martha Jones, who is stationed in the courtroom sanitizing between cases. Kenny Brown, his part-time housekeeper, is working diligently cleaning the agricultural building, cleaning all areas of the building, and taking special care to make sure the conference room is clean between meetings. And he has taken ownership of the building. The building is really looking great now. Steve Lee wears many hats at the courthouse, helping clean, removing trash, repairing furniture, moving desks and file cabinets, hanging pictures, repairing plumbing, lighting, HVAC motors, valves, belts, and operating the building automation system. And he also maintains the courthouse grounds. Dwayne Duffy stepped up when we were short a man this spring and kept the grass mowed and properties looking good. Marty Gibson is an asset because he is versatile in his many skill sets, and Adam Mumal has been a great help in any field of work he has been tasked to undertake. Steve, Dwayne, Marty, Adam have been mowing, repairing, painting, landscaping, moving furniture, installing 911 markers, road signs, and responding to our daily work orders as we receive them. I'm proud of the way our staff has operated this year, and they really worked as a team. We're not perfect, but we strive to make our county facilities a place that we're proud of. So if you have any questions or anything that doesn't look right in the county, please let me, Sarah, Doug know so that we can address it and take care of the problems. Any questions?
Thank you, Randy.
Need a round of applause.
We thank you for that dissertation.
Very good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, next, the building office, Philip Moore.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good
evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I've appreciated the opportunity to serve Prince Edward County this last year. It's been a busy year. I took the liberty of kind of putting some of the highlights of what I have together in a brochure for you. Hopefully everyone got one. Just to compare years, this past year compared to the same 12 months prior, so from December of last year to the end of November this year, we saw about a 20% increase in both permits and building inspections for the department. One of the other, and that has actually coincided, one of the things that I've done in the last year is that we have been assisting the town of Farmville's building department, and I've been running their building department as well as for the county. So we've been doing this in 3 days, inspections primarily 3 days per week, and the town 2 days per week. And so I've been able to see that done. We've also been able to review and update the building code fees, and that was not done lightly. A lot of research went into that to try to make sure, we didn't want it to just be arbitrary, but we wanted to try to make sure the fees were fair and could provide the proper funding so that we could to support and cover the fees for the building department. One of the other things that we did this year is that we now confirm prior to issuing a building permit is we confirm with the treasurer's office to make sure their taxes are paid. And that was something that we were not doing in the past, but we try to make sure their taxes are current before we issue a building permit. And that has, that's gotten several taxes up to date. So that seems to be going very well. We've also been working with Lawson. He's kind of our point of contact for our permitting system. We've been able to remove some outdated old language on our building permits, and we're trying to get that updated. The other thing that we didn't have before is the system has the ability that you can look at the permit and confirm that it has been paid for or not. And that was not being utilized before. And that resulted in a few situations where permits were not really active, but there were inspections done on them. And so we had that updated so that now when we pull a permit up, we can confirm from our office that it has in fact been paid for. And the other thing that I've been able to do is I make sure everyone calls the office for inspections so that I don't mistakenly go out, because people will call you. They're not gonna, they'll call you. And so I try to make sure that they have to call the office so the office can confirm that that permit is valid before I go out and make an inspection on it. So that's something that we've been able to do as well. We continue to review our system now, just looking for ways that we can improve our permitting process, trying to make it faster. We hope to return, we're looking at trying to hope to return some permits to where we can get back to where we can issue some permits on a same-day basis. We're working towards that, and so we are trying to do that as well. I think I already mentioned that we've been assisting the town. We have been getting reimbursed from that for the county's time, and they have hired a new building official, and so I am still assisting the town in a capacity to help train their building official while he's going through some of the training process. And I'm doing that now. And so far, that's gone very well. Looking forward, another thing that I would like to do is I'm looking at different ways. I would like to get more customer feedback from people that obtain permits from our office and get inspections, just to get more public feedback, to look for more ways that we can continue to improve and see areas where, customers, they don't think our system's as efficient, and they might even provide feedback or opinions on how we can improve that, so we can continue to do that. The other thing that I've done is I've been working with homeowners and contractors, just trying to achieve greater code compliance. So I hope to continue to develop educational materials for them. And so that's part of why I did this. This is me learning a new trick, how to make a brochure. And I'm looking at different ideas of how to make information available for both the contractors and owners related to the permitting process and inspections, just hoping to achieve greater compliance, and they'll have better understanding of what we need from them to serve them better. So,
When you have a situation of noncompliance, I imagine it's ultimately on the owner of the property, but is there a time when you have an issue with some of the contractors, any contractor where they're like a repeat offender type person? Or is it going pretty well?
Sometimes there is. So far, I have not had any repeat offenders. More times than not, they're out of town, which is surprising, more times than not. And, you know, they'll come, you know, sometimes oddly, they'll come from jurisdictions that, you know, they know the permitting process, but we have to work with them. But it does, ultimately, a lot of it falls on the owner, unless there's a contract that puts that on the contractor. So it just depends on the situation sometimes. So, but usually, once we contact them, they're pretty quick to respond and come into compliance.
Great.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation. Economic Development and Tourism, Chelsea.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to the new board members. On pages 154 through 155 and on page 269 of your package, you'll find my report, from which I'll provide a summary of highlights for 2022 and what is to come in 2023. And this is all in no particular order. So this year, the county has received over $1 million in grants to develop the HIT Park. The Access Road project has begun, with construction materials being stockpiled on site. Construction will begin officially in the spring, and this is a $2.7 million project, with 50% being paid for by the Tobacco Commission and by VDOT. We're happy to have gotten the comparative market analysis completed for the IDA-owned properties, including the business park, and this has made it easier to engage different developers and people that are interested in purchasing property for commercial and industrial projects. This year, we spent time participating in the grant-funded Go Virginia Region 3 Minority Engagement Work Group in partnership with the Longwood SBDC. And so this was a regional entrepreneurship and innovation implementation grant, which includes a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in programs developed. Regarding tourism, we worked to secure $75,000 in grants to fund additional economic, projects that were joint economic development and tourism. And so that includes Sandy River Distillery, also projects that promote the county as a travel destination, and planning for the development of wayfinding signage. This year, we also finalized refreshing and reprinting our tourism brochures that promote the best of what we have to offer in Prince Edward County, as well as in the town of Farmville. This process included mailing the brochures to nearly 90 different visitor centers and welcome centers across the state. We also finalized a new tourism logo that we will use for marketing, promotion, and merchandise that will be available in our gift shop at the visitor center, as well as for prize drawings and giveaways. In 2022, we launched the Prince Edward County Tourism Council, which will advise, support, and advocate for tourism policies and programs to market and promote the county. And in 2023, we're looking forward to hearing back about a number of grant proposals that we've submitted, along with completing the projects that we were awarded funding for during this current year. And so we recently submitted a $25,000 Tobacco Commission RFP for the Southern Virginia Program Grant Fund, and we were encouraged by the staff to apply for an additional $50,000, so that's a great sign. We should hear back about this proposal in January. As you know, we also participated in the Virginia Business Ready Sites Program, virtual site tour not too long ago, which was the next step in the roughly $10 million grant application process. And so if this grant is received, it will fund the water line to the site as well as water storage, as well as the water storage tank and booster pump construction. And so we will also hear back about this request in January. This year, we also assisted the Mary E. Branch Heritage Center Board, the CRC in the town of Farmville, with the completion of the DHCD Industrial Revitalization Fund grant application. And so if awarded, funding from this grant will be used to redevelop the Mary E. Branch Heritage Center into a multi-use, economically viable space. And so we hope to hear back about this grant opportunity in 2023 as well. Other projects we anticipate gaining momentum on include developing more lots in the Prince Edward Business Park, ramping up marketing for the HIT Park, website development and social media management for tourism, marketing, and promotion. And I will try to answer any questions that you all may have.
Any questions? Chelsea, we thank you for all you've done. Done a wonderful job.
Thank you, and thank you for your support on everything.
Emergency management, Trey Brown.
Good evening, Board. Just an overview of what we've done in emergency management for the year. On a normal blue sky day, we're out there maintaining situational awareness, monitoring weather events, anything that may play a hamper into the county's operations. We also partnered with the town very well this past year. We helped them with planning for their 4th of July celebration and their Heart of Virginia celebration. That was a 6 to 7 month process that started with the 4th, transitioned over to the Heart of Virginia. Very good collaboration there and communications between the two of us. This past spring, we reviewed and adopted our emergency operation plan. That's a 4-year process. Every 4 years it has to be adopted by code. We submitted that to y'all in March. So this year, went back and looked, we responded to 3 search and rescue operations in the county. The total of these 3 was 13 days long. Kind of unusual for us because normally 2 to 3 days and we're back at work doing what we got to do. The longest one of those was 8 days. That had a positive outcome. I think the sheriff and the VDM staff that was out there, because they never gave up. And at the end of the day, we were able to bring home somebody to their family. During those operations, emergency management's role is to provide support to the sheriff's office and the VDM to make sure that they've got the assets, the meals, put requests in for certain stuff, bring water to the site. And we've done all that very well. Worked really good with the sheriff's office this past year. We've also had 6 hazmat incidents this year. Majority of those were motor vehicle accidents, and unfortunately, all of those motor vehicle accidents were at 307 and 460. We had 1 propane cylinder that somebody threw off their truck and decided they wanted to leak in the side of the road. We took care of that. And 1 industrial accident that resulted in the leak of some container fluids into a creek in Hampton, Sydney. We were able to get that mitigated and cleaned up prior to a storm coming in. Throughout COVID, we've been here to support the courthouse and public safety entities with PPE, supplies, anything we can get resource available through state purchase, whatever that may be. We still do that to this day, even though COVID has died down. Anything we have in stock that they requested and we got it, gloves, mask, whatever, I'll take it to them for them to use and be safe. We worked with the Firefighters Association to submit a FEMA Assistance to Firefighter grant. We were notified in the fall that we were awarded that grant for $383,000. That was a very, very monumental purchase that's going to bring the county forward a lot in public safety. Recently, we've increased our equipment cache with the purchase of the thermal drone. Last month, y'all remember we come to y'all about the grant. The drone has been purchased. It's in-house and available to any public safety entity in the county that may need it for whatever purpose. So it may be a fire, it may be a search, it may be whatever it may be. They request it, I'll be glad to go out there with it and use it. We continue to work with the radio consultant on a public safety upgrade. We're in the final stages of the study being released to y'all for your consideration. We're finalizing some loose ends on it, and hopefully we'll be back with you very shortly. I know that it's gone a little bit, but with the holiday season, we didn't want to rush it and kind of put something in front of y'all where you couldn't sit down and digest it. The emergency management also maintains the Everbridge system. This is a joint system between the town of Farmville and Prince Edward County. We also maintain the employee side of that system. So I don't know if any of y'all are not on that system from an employee side, but like today's incident at the courthouse, we sent out a message for employees to go home. We also work with the sheriff's office to send out message to the citizens to keep them informed of what's going on. One thing I will say with the sheriff, he's very proactive about making sure the citizens know what's going on, and we're happy to support him to get those messages out in a timely manner to keep everybody aware of what's going on. And we also use other sources like social media, Facebook, stuff like that. For 2023, we have a couple things we're looking forward to doing. We're looking at hosting some search and rescue training. We want to start a countywide, county-supported search and rescue team. Try to get some trained people on the ground a little bit sooner than the VDM people get here, just to try to get things started. And then we can turn it over to them when they get here. The sheriff has been in support of that. We've had some other entities around us and some other counties approach us about joining with them to kind of do a joint adventure. Hopefully by the spring, we'll have that off the ground and get it in the right direction. And then we're also looking to getting our local emergency management planning committee back together. This is a state-required mandate that we have to do. COVID kind of put that on the brakes because nobody could meet in person. So we're looking to get that back started here by the spring and get that committee back started. So that concludes my report. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer for you. All right, thank y'all.
For what you do. Appreciate that. Planning and Community Development, Mr. Robert Love.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, new board members, welcome. Look forward to working with you. This list is not an end-all be-all, but it kind of hits the highlights. We had a really busy year in planning and community development. While we didn't have any rezonings, we did have 7 special use permits filed with you all. 5 were approved, 2 were withdrawn. To note, one of those is still moving forward. The 5 Pillar Meats application is actually being relocated to the county industrial park, and that project's going forward. So we have 6 good projects coming forward that's adding business entity to this county. On code updates, we had meatpacking and related industries, some standards on that adopted, new standards on flags and flagpoles adopted. On subdivision, we did updated the ag exemption and family lots subdivision code. On building permits, right now, I am at 196 zoning permits to date right now. I'm talking to a lot more folks, so I feel we'll be well over 200. I did put some historical benchmarks in there. In 2021, we had 159, and in 2020, we had 147. I didn't go back further than that, but my memory and some of our prior reports, we used to be in the 80 to 90 zoning permit numbers prior to COVID. So there's been quite a bit of development in Prince Edward County, and we're growing, and we're staying busy. I think part of that's too that we're doing a really good job talking to citizens. I'm in the office vetting projects and making sure that folks are getting the permits that they need, make sure I refer them to the building code office to get the building permits they need. I think that's crucial. We're trying to do a public outreach, make sure that folks know how to apply, what to apply for, and get them through that process. On the capital improvements plan, there were 7 projects fully completed. I think you've had a memo on that from the county administrator, so I won't go over that. But looking ahead in 2023, county administrator and I have worked on the zoning code update per your request to get that up to date, so it satisfies, matches with state code and addresses some of the trends that we see. That's going to be going to the Planning Commission in January, which will probably be coming to you all in February or March. Want to get that taken care of. And soon after that, or leading up to that, we're going to be looking to do update of the comprehensive plan. This was not done during COVID. A good comprehensive plan, you want to have community meetings, you want to have public engagement, and it wasn't the time to do a project like that. This is not just an update, it will be a comprehensive rewrite. Want to thank you all for putting funding in that so we could start that process. That's going to be very exciting moving forward. What I'm seeing coming up, we've got a lot of commercial projects coming to us that we'll be talking to you more about as they go through the process. One of the things not on here, we did form a development review committee. That's a staff level committee to work with developers coming in to do commercial projects. That's a joint committee with the town. It has Public Works, Health Department, VDOT, Building Code, Economic Development, and Planning and Zoning. So when we bring a project to you all, I think we're going to have a vetting process, and we'll be talking to those folks. We'll have better plan sets coming to you all, more information, and it will be co-compliant. So I think that's a good process. It'll help applicants before they get to the public hearing stage to know what they need to do to get a project completed here in Prince Edward County. I'm still getting a lot of calls from solar. I'm getting more calls for the 5 megawatt and smaller community solar sites that we're having. We just had a community meeting at the Prospect Fire Department for a small site that's proposed that'll be coming to you all shortly after the first of the year. And still getting a lot of calls from other developers looking to do that. I still think we have 1 or 2 large utility scale solar, somewhere in the 500 to 1,000 acre range. We just don't have that application coming yet. The other things we want to do, we're going to keep our certifications up. We are a Virginia Stormwater Management locality, so DEQ does not do our plan review and our inspections or administration. We have Hurt and Profit do our plan review through a full engineer, Mr. Andy Klepak. That's a contracted service, which is paid for by the applicants. Myself, I'm an administrator and an inspector, and also Trey Powell is an inspector. So we're going to keep those certifications up. We're fully certified as staff at this time, and just look to keep that going and keep boots on the ground on that, because stormwater and ENS never goes away. ENS is through the construction phase of a project. Also, a big project that we still have to go through some QC and QA is the countywide GIS. We've got to get parcel data up to date, get the properties to match. We still got a couple thousand properties which don't match up, and that's the assessment data and the physical visual map, the parcels. So that's a project we want to finish up. That requires some coordination with the Commissioner of Revenue. They have been assisting us on that. So we hope to get that out to the public so that people can use that. They can pull their own property up. Right now, they can pull their tax cards up, but they can't pull their property up. So we definitely want to get that out for developers and citizens. I'd be glad to answer any questions any of you may have. One other thing we didn't put on the list that you're probably aware of, we were able to move over to the former Commonwealth Attorney Wing, which is right here on this floor. Previously, citizens used to have to come and fill their permits out on their lap. We have a public kiosk. It's got a terminal. They can look their property owner information up on a computer. We've got forms available. We've got a little mini conference room. We can sit down with developers. It's a better way of doing business. It's professional, and it's made a big difference. I don't know how we would have been able to do the things we've done on this list without having that space to meet with folks. I've got to thank Randy and the building code folks, because all of that renovation and needed painting and some cleanup, all that was done with county staff. We didn't buy anything. We used furniture. We begged, borrowed, and steal to have that space. I think the only thing we had to buy was a copy machine and a refrigerator. Welcome any of you all who haven't been in that wing to come through and see us anytime. We're very proud of it, and it puts forth a good, I think, professional image to the public coming in and getting the permit. Lets us do better customer service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And solid waste, Jeff Jones.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Good evening.
Congratulations on the new members. I look forward to working with everybody. Just a couple things for the year, solid waste. We have a pretty big I'm not gonna say a pretty big thing. We got a little thing going on down tomorrow at Rice. We have a pre-bid meeting for the Rice construction at the convenience site to redo that. Me and Doug and Randy will be down there tomorrow for that, to meet the contractors and go over the pre-bid and everything. I went back as far as July, and as of July, we've taken in 4,613 tons of trash, and we've had 11,690 loads come in across the scales at the landfill. The shop is complete. Thank you all very much. We're waiting on bids for heat, but other than that, it is pretty much it's complete. The new loader will be delivered somewhere around the first of the year. Again, thank you. I know my ants aren't very small. Most time when I ants, they're pretty big. You know, but it takes good equipment to do what we do. I mean, the environment we run that equipment in is pretty rough. We have purchased 5 new open top containers that are spread out through all the convenience sites at any different times. We plan on in the spring, buying 5 to 8 more. We're gonna actually set up a temporary site, when Rice is closed for the construction. We're gonna set up a temporary site so we can still service customers in the Rice area. I think, Mr. Bill, that's your area. We're gonna start year-end regrading and adding stone to all the convenience sites. We've already done Verso for Mr. Townsend. We got you squared away. Depending on the rain we get the next couple of days, and next week, we're gonna start at Worsham and go just wherever the road takes us. The next one we get to, we're gonna get gravel hauled in. We're gonna dress all of them up. We're gonna pretty much just brush them all up for the winter. I know it's gonna freeze and thaw a lot, so we're gonna try to put some good rock on top of it to keep it hard, to keep it where people won't get mud on them and everything like that. We have installed new sheds, the new huts at Greenway and Tuggle. We actually been working on some better lighting that we look to do in the future in the spring to get some more light on the sites for the fall time. My crew is doing very well. Like I say, we're working well, old machine. I don't think that we have had, I haven't got a call from a supervisor or Doug or Sarah about any cans being full on the weekends. My truck drivers are hustling. We're doing a lot better than we were a couple of years ago when I first came on board. So I'm proud of my crew for that. They work hard. Some days it's cold, some days it's hot, some days it's raining. Trash never stops. So I just like to thank y'all, you know, for all y'all done to support the solid waste department, and just look forward to, you know, the next coming year to see where it takes us. Y'all have any questions?
Thank you,
Doing a
sir.
good job.
Thank y'all very much.
Great job.
Madam Chair, if I could just make one quick statement. Thank you to all the department heads for coming tonight and presenting kind of a report for the year. I think 2 things that, you know, I really note, and I hope you guys note. Number 1, the volume of work that everybody's doing is certainly increasing as activity in the community increases. 2, the value of what we're bringing back. If you look at the grants, whether it's economic development or emergency services and things that we're bringing back millions of dollars back to the community to help offset so that our local tax dollars aren't having to be used. And I think you also heard about the investment that the board has made in the departments, and Jeff at the end, and Randy's operations, that we appreciate as staff. You're investing in our facilities that help us make them shine. So just a thank you from us.
Thank you so much to all of you for jobs well done. Next, we will have the 5 Pillar Meats Tobacco Commission Resolution. Chelsea, if you would come forward. And Chancellor, while you're up there, you can also do your Sandy River Distillery.
All right, so I'll just read through the summary, which is on page 157. So at the October 7th IDA meeting, staff was authorized to apply for the Tobacco Commission Southern Virginia Program, $25,000. Well, that was the request. The RFP was for $25,000 on behalf of 5 Pillar Meats. And so this application requires project endorsement And so a resolution is required. So I've drafted the resolution on the next page. But just a little bit more information about this request. The application was already submitted on October 20th, and we did, along with the application, submit a resolution delay statement saying that the resolution would come after the application was submitted. So the IDA, first, they have already approved and adopted a resolution at the November 18th meeting. And so the resolution for the Board of Supervisors is still required. So that's what the request is for. Now, since then, we have had conversations with VDAX about the AFID program, as well as the Tobacco Commission. And so these conversations were basically about allowing Prince Edward to increase the request for the project. So from $25,000 to actually $75,000. And so additionally, with the $75,000, we're also anticipating that this project will be able to benefit from $25,000 in enterprise zone incentive programs or grants, since it is within the enterprise zone. So the anticipated combined total of grants from the Tobacco Commission and the enterprise zone will amount to $100,000. And this can be used as match funding for the VDAX program. And so because we have that 100,000, then, so just want to make sure this clear. So the $25,000, the $75,000 can be used as match for the 100,000. So ultimately, that will equal to $200,000 in grants for this project so far. And so that will provide greater support for the project and increase the chance of success for it. So I have, in addition to the proposed resolution that's provided, there's also a sample motion that you see as well on the memo sheet. And I definitely would be willing to answer any questions that you might have. I know it kind of, I guess from the beginning with the increase in of the proposal, that might be a little bit tricky. So if you have more questions about that conversation or, you know, how that kind of came about, I could definitely answer questions about that as well.
Chelsea, I'd just to add, I think what you're seeing is both the governor's office and Virginia Economic Development partnership, along with the Tobacco Commission, all wanting to promote meat processing facilities to support agriculture. So they're stepping up, willing to throw money at it, and which helps our applicant here locally.
Yes, yep, beautiful summary.
Okay, what's the feeling of the board?
I move that we agree and
Second.
approve.
Okay, a motion has made in second that the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors adopt the proposed resolution for the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission FY '23 Southern Virginia Program, and authorize the chairman and county administrator clerk to sign all necessary documents or paperwork. All in agreement, Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Yes, sir, yes. So moved. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
And for the Sandy River Distillery.
Yes, ma'am. So this past spring, VDAX awarded the county a $25,000 grant through the AFID program for the development of Sandy River Distillery. And so staff has been working on a performance agreement alongside the company as well as VDAX. And so funding from the state will not be dispersed until a PA has been finalized and executed. So originally, the PA or performance agreement stated that once the company has achieved a minimum number of 5 employees and a minimum investment of $1 million, it shall be entitled to annual cash grants to be dispersed by the IDA over a consecutive 10-year period, beginning in 2020. And so this language was also reflected in the master agreement that was approved by the IDA and the board already, the Board of Supervisors. And so the company later requested that the PA be modified to include that once the company has achieved a minimum number of five new jobs and, 4 new jobs and $150,000 in investment, it shall be entitled to 5 equal payments over a 5-year period. And so the agreement has been modified to include these changes on page 5 of the attached performance agreement. And so these changes were already presented to the IDA at the October 7th IDA meeting. Staff was also directed to make several needed language edits. So we've done that, as well as making sure to consult with Mr. Love about the special use permit for that property, making sure that nothing contradicts, that the performance agreement will coincide with it. And so we've made those edits, and basically we're resubmitting this to you for approval. So as you can see, there are several attachments: the proposed modified PA, the proposed modified master agreement, and then additional information in terms of email exchanges. And I'd be willing to answer any questions that you might have about this one as well.
I move that we approve the agreements.
Okay, go ahead, second.
Second.
That motion is made in second, that the Board of Supervisors approve the proposed modified Sandy River Distillery Performance Agreement for agriculture and forestry.
Madam Chairman, point of clarification, does that also include the authorization for the clerk, chairman, and county administrator to sign all
It does,
necessary
sir.
documents?
Okay, it does, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Kenna,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Modessa, yes. So moved, Jefferson.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next on the agenda, partnership with Longwood Center for the Visual Arts. Mr. Stanley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, county staff have been talking with the Longwood Center for Visual Arts, or LCVA, off and on for the past year about a partnership to establish a community experience in the Prince Edward County Courthouse to integrate visual art and literacy. The concept is to utilize some of the blank wall space to provide room for a rotating display of art to the public. This would include the ability to brighten the juvenile court area for children. I've previously been part of such an effort and found it was a great way for local artists to display their work as well as a way to expose a segment of the public that may not normally walk into a gallery. The initial cost to the county would be the cost of the wall hanging equipment. LCVA would be responsible for switching out the artwork on a rotational basis. They did mention murals, and that's something we would have to look into, and we will work with the Properties Committee separately and evaluate the cost at that time. But I've included in the packet a letter from LCVA, and I've also gotten the sign-off from our circuit court judge, who basically controls the public space in the courthouse. He's excited about the project as well. Happy to answer any questions.
They're hanging this, not painting it on the wall.
That's correct. They would have, if they want to do a mural or something, we'd bring that back. And they really were only talking about kind of the area down where the J&D court was for that. But right now, we're talking about hanging artwork on the wall and rotating it, 3 or 4 times a year. Maybe it's landscapes and then portraits or something like that. But definitely would have to be stuff that would be appropriate for a courthouse. All of our common areas are cambered, so the sheriff and his staff have security access. They'd have to realize there's always the potential that somebody could touch something or break something, but I did it for probably 10, 15 years and never had an issue previously.
Now, what wall you say you're gonna be at?
Some of the blank wall space, we haven't, up on the 3rd floor, you've got some of the side halls that come in. The other thing that we're working on is right when you come into the building, we're looking at a space to hang the new board portraits on the right-hand side. We just cleaned that up and got rid of some of the COVID, I'll say the Lexan and boards and things that kind of protected the staff down there, but we've cleaned that up. So that area will be reserved for the board portraits.
If Longwood can rotate it out seasonal?
Yes, sir.
Who would be responsible for kind of looking over the artwork before it's posted to make sure it
You
is
know, I
professional?
think, you know, they have a very professional staff there. I think, you know, obviously, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be obviously the county administrator, assistant county administrator, making sure, and, you know, we don't want to post anything that would be inappropriate for the public to view. But I think, you know, I was over this week to their, this past week to their gallery showing, and, you know, they have a lot of very appropriate stuff that comes through there that would be
It's a good
perfect.
partnership. I'll make a motion that the board approves the request as outlined to the partnership with the visual arts of Longwood for the establishment of a public display at courthouse.
Second.
Motion and is made and second that the Board of Supervisors partner with LCBA for the establishment of public display of art in the courthouse complex. Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Okay, so moved. Thank you much. Okay, Assistance to Firefighters Grants. Trey?
That's the $300,000 you was telling us about.
Gotta be patient, Mr. Townsend, patient. All right, it board in December of 2021, and a little summary here, because I knew we have some new board members. I want to make sure y'all all up to date on what's going on. The county submitted a FEMA Assistance to Firefighter Grant with the help of the CRC on behalf of the Prince Edward County Firefighters Association. This grant would fund the replacement of outdated and aged SCBA's, self-contained breathing apparatus. The FEMA AFG grant is a reimbursable federally funded grant that requires a 5% match by the recipient. The grant funding will bring all the Prince Edward County fire departments together on a standardized SCBA, allowing for interoperability and safety of all firefighters countywide. Now, a little backstory to that. This started, and I know David, Patty Cooper Jones, were on the CARES committee. And at the end of COVID, there was some money left over. We went back and vetted some extra stuff, brought it back to the board. This started with COVID. We were first able to replace 5 packs per station with the anticipation of looking for a grant or additional funding to carry that process out completely. And each department was able to buy in if they wanted to and get the cheaper price for buying in bulk. So we did. Some departments bought in, some departments didn't have the funds right then because of COVID. We went back in December, we put in for the grant. We sat down with every department, figured out what they needed to complete their inventory of trucks for SCBA's. We were very fortunate. In September 14, 2022, we were notified that the county had been awarded the FEMA grant for 42 SCBA's and 3 rapid intervention packs. Now, these SCBA's that means every pack is the same on every fire truck in all 7 departments. The rapid intervention packs is if a firefighter goes down and you gotta go get somebody, we don't have to guess what department's running what RIT pack do I gotta take off of whose truck. Everything we use is all the same. If I pulled up and it was a Pamplin truck on scene, I can grab their air pack. It's exactly the same pack as I got in my hair. There's no training, there's no, having to learn right on the fly. So real quick before we move forward, I've got Assistant Chief James Redford with Prospect with me. I want y'all to be able to see what y'all are looking at. I want y'all to understand what it is. We'll take just a minute or two, talk about it, talk about some of the safety features of these new packs compared to the older packs. I know Supervisor Gillum is very familiar with the older packs, the older setups that we had. And I know he can attest, we were talking about before the meeting, how safe these are compared to the ones before. So these packs all come standard with digital readouts for how much air is in the bottle. Some of the packs in the county, we were allocated a few that have thermal imaging cameras built into the regulator that JRAD's holding. That way, if they go in a fire, they can cut that part on, they can search for a victim. If they're looking for a hot spot in the wall, instead of having to tear the whole wall down, they can actually use that right off the pack, not having to carry an extra tool. On the back of the bottle, these all bottles come with quick connects. Back in the day, you had to thread the coupling all the way on to put your bottle on. Now it's a twist and a pull, and it's a snap, it goes right back on. So you don't have to sit there in the middle of the night trying to find the threads, twist it, put it on. The other good thing about these bottles is they slide into a carriage. So that bottle, and I'm not gonna make you do all that, J-Red, but that bottle, you take that top band off, that bottle slides out. The new bottle slides straight in. It's all contained into that pack. So it's easier and quicker to change for it. Some of the other features is on the backside, if he had this on right now and was actually on in service, there's LED lights all the way around the outside of it. So if I was behind him in the fire, I can tell what his air level is just by seeing his back. If he goes into alert mode where he's down or not moving, it starts flashing red. Once his low level alarm comes on for his air, it's got to a certain point and it knows, hey, you need to start moving outside the building. There's white lights that come on. It'll illuminate his whole body so we can find him if he went down. The other thing on the side right here in this bag is called a buddy breather line. It's a line that comes out. If he was in with a firefighter and they needed air or he needed air, they can connect their two air packs together and breathe off of another pack. So he can be out of air, hook that up, they can start sharing air off another pack and completely bypass his regulator. The other important thing about that is the face mask regulators that are on, because we're all in the same pack, all the regulators are the same. So worst case scenario, you go in there and their packs failed, you can hook your regulator up to them, they can still breathe. So everything's interchangeable, the whole gamut. That's pretty much the air pack in a nutshell. Again, leaps and bounds above what we had before, not only just from the safety standpoints, but from the interoperability inside the county. The bag sitting on his, to his left right there, that's called the Rapid Intervention Pack. That's your low air alarm. That means get out. The red bag beside him, some departments had bought into the red pack when they had CARES money left over. Some didn't. With this grant, we were able to buy the other 3 packs we needed. Every fire department has at least one identical pack on their engine now. So it doesn't matter who's on scene, their first out engine is gonna have that pack. Basically what that does, their bottle in there is bigger than the bottle on the pack. It's a 60-minute bottle. It'll last 1 hour essentially on normal breathing. It comes with a face piece. Again, if the face piece on the firefighter is good, you can simply drop that mask off, hook straight up to them. They can keep breathing off of that pack behind them. They can also buddy breathe or transfill their bottle if they need to. So, again, I can't echo enough how historic this has been. This has been a process that actually started with what Jay read about 2018, 2017, trying to get the fire departments on board to do the grant that we just got. Didn't get a lot of traction, didn't have the money. We were able to start it with CARES, finish it off with the AFG grant, and I will say they were delivered Monday. I delivered all the packs to all the fire departments. So I think within the next 2 weeks, they'll probably be on all the trucks in the county.
Early Christmas.
Yeah, early Christmas. Santa came early. So the reason I'm here tonight in front of y'all is the Firefighters Association is requesting the county assist with covering the upfront cost of the grant until reimbursement can be received by FEMA. And historically, I've seen that be about 90 days, 90 to 120 days. It's just a turnaround process of paperwork. Each department will match their 5%, and they've all got that. Actually, I've already gotten some of that back from some of the fire departments, so that's not a problem. That was an understanding going into the grant. So they're asking y'all to please help them front the money up front. Of course, it's no money out of the county's pocket at the end of the day because you'll have it all back in your bank account in about 90 to 120 days. So,
Main thing is you have it in your bank account before the end of the fiscal year, so from a
Yes.
county standpoint, it won't make a difference.
It'll definitely be there by then, for sure. As soon as we get the check written and I can have a copy of the check, I can submit all that to FEMA. And I'd say, usually if you get it pretty quick, they'll turn it around pretty quick. So that's the request from the Fire Association.
Madam Chair, I move that we fund this.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that the Board of Supervisors approve the request of the Firefighters Association to have the county fund from the funds for the purchase of the grant-funded equipment, which will be reimbursed by FEMA and the fire departments, and to appropriate funds as outlined above to allow for the purchase of the equipment. Everybody in agreement? Bill?
Yes.
Kenna?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
while I got the moment here at the table, I will reiterate what he said. That is one of the finest pieces of equipment that I have seen in my 40-some years of being a firefighter. It's so much safer. You have so much more confidence with that piece of equipment going in a fire. Yes.
Thank you so much for that comment.
Is my vote.
Patty?
Yes, and I'd like to say thank you for all the hard work that you do to have the fire departments in harmony and everybody's being on the same page for the welfare and the safety of all the citizens. Thank you so much.
And I sentiment that as well, and I agree. Thank you so much, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, J. Red, for being here too, and taking your time.
And I would say, anybody that wants, please reach out to your local in-district fire department. They'll be glad to show you these in person, one-on-one, anything you want to see.
That would be great.
I wish we almost had enough time to do like we do in the school age, you know, and show you exactly how it all works, but maybe another time. But I'm a big believer in right place, right people at the right place at the right time. I think y'all done a fine job, the deputy emergency manager here, Chief Powell, and right place at the right time. This is a long time coming, like you said. You know, this is huge for us. 23 years in the fire service, and just a few years ago, or just last year and the year before that, there was 4 agencies could respond to a fire and 4 different breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
And it's a scary time, right? So in the fire service, as Lou knows, we've got some lifelines, and this is one of them. So thank you very much for your support, and for the Fire Association, thank you for the praise work as well, too.
Thank you
Thank
for what
you.
you do.
Thank you both. So important. So important.
Come by and see us if you want to show and tell one.
We believe you.
I'll go see.
Okay, next on the agenda, VACO and BML financing for lease purchase of landfill loader. Mr. Stanley.
Madam Chair, members of the board, October 25th, the board approved the lease purchase of a John Deere 755K crawler loader for a total cost of $446,606, utilizing the VML VACO to finance the total purchase on a 5-year term at an estimated cost of $100,963 per year, and authorize county administrator to sign the contract, the purchase, and the documents of VML VACO. VML VACO originally quoted an estimated interest rate of 4.55%. VML VACO solicited proposals from dozens of banks, including local, regional, and national financial institutions. They received 4 proposals, with Truist being the lowest at a rate of 4.37%. In order to complete the transaction with Truist, the board is asked to consider approval of the attached resolution in your packet. Again, I think the timing worked out well, and the rates came down a little bit, and you know, it allows us to keep some cash. We've got some other projects in the hopper, so we're excited, and this, as Jeff said, this will give them, you know, save a lot of breakdown time out the landfill. So happy to answer any questions.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and second that the Board of Supervisors approve the proposed resolution for financing of the John Deere 755K crawler loader through VML VACO. All those approved. Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Kennon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Odessa? So moved. Okay. Next, the 2023 legislative priorities. Mr. Stanley.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, so each year we try to have the board consider the formal list. It doesn't mean these are the only issues that we can lobby at Richmond, but at least it gives us a formal list, and we can transmit this to our local legislators. As you know, this year, you know, we're going in with James Edmonds as our delegate, and James has been extremely proactive for us, and Mark Peake, our senator. Next year, we're going to have a couple different delegates, a couple different senators. So moving forward, this will be more and more, I think, important for us to be able to articulate what our main concerns are heading into the session. I'm not going to read through all this. I'm just going to highlight the items. Number one is a 1% sales tax, as we talked about, for school local construction or renovation. Again, all this does is, if approved, would allow the voters of Prince Edward County to consider adoption of a local 1% additional sales tax. Number two, is to allow Prince Edward County to establish a solid waste fee, as our Properties Committee has discussed. There is a code section that would allow the county and our management systems to have a separate landfill waste fee. What we're trying to do, our solid waste department is set up as an enterprise fund. Right now, we're having to heavily subsidize that from the general fund. By creating an individual house fee, we're trying to get it so it basically covers its cost separately outside the general fund. Again, we'd have to adopt a local ordinance if we were added to that list, and the board could debate that at that time. Number 3 is budget support for the Piedmont Regional Jail Authority. PRJ is requesting support of additional 47 additional positions for reasons that it would take me the whole night to get into. Our local regional jail does not have the staffing of its sister regional jails across the state of Virginia. And what that means is that the localities of this region, the 6 counties that make up PRJ, are having to fund more positions to adequately staff the jail. So what I would deem is the counties that are have less financial resources are having to pony up more dollars than a lot of the other counties across the state. And that's not fair, and we're asking the General Assembly to fix that. Number 4, our Sandy River Reservoir, we're asking General Assembly, whatever needs to be done in the upcoming session. We're getting close to this project with Department of General Services. It's a generic statement, but just asking for support from the state for our project. Lastly, just support of, and I've included the VACO preliminary legislative program. The supervisors are able to go to the VACO conference. We're able to hear a discussion on those. Again, even at VACO, not everybody agrees with every single position in that packet, but it is a consensus among the counties, our sister counties across the state of Virginia. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, what's your motion?
Move that we approve the legislative priorities.
Second.
Because moved in second, that the board approves the proposed 2023 legislative priorities listed as proposed. Harrison,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
and Odessa. So moved. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda, Finance and Human Resources Report. Sure.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
The first item up for your pleasure is the new hire for the IT manager. As you're aware, we have had an IT contract with Business Data since 2001. The county's current contract with Business Data expires June 30th of 2023. In the last year, up to November 21 of 2022, we have paid Business Data over $71,000 for travel and mileage, software upgrades, hardware replacements, and our maintenance contract. In addition, they also provide programming support for the Treasurer's Office and the Commissioner of Revenue's office. And while they're doing that, we believe that the change in technology is, we need to change with it. So we would like to hire a full-time IT manager to serve the county and then keep Lawson and his staff on as part-time consultants for up to a year or so to give us transition. So we would like to advertise starting in January and then hopefully have a hire by March.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second that the Board of Supervisors approves county staff to hire a full-time information technology manager within the salary range listed with the hire date of approximately March 2023. David,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Yes. So moved.
Thank you.
So, sure.
The last item from HR and Finance is the state minimum wage increase. The board may or may not be aware that the state will raise the minimum wage effective January of 2023. We have approximately 19 employees that are part-time employees, mostly convenience site workers, that will be making under that minimum wage. So we're asking you to approve the $12
So moved.
minimum wage.
Second. That's state law anyway, so.
Yeah.
Ain't got no
Gave
choice.
you a but approved.
Well, how they live?
Carefully.
Social Security.
The board, definitely approves the minimum wage increase to $12. So moved. Harrison,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Patty,
Yes.
Bill,
Yeah.
Cannon,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
And so that's a yes. So moved, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
$3 more than I make, Jack.
Next on our agenda, the county attorney's report. It's Terry.
Yeah, that's right.
David, that's because you work 24 hours a
That's
day.
exactly right. I had to make up an hour rather than percentages.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Especially welcome to those that have just gone through an election process. Hats off to you. Welcome, welcome. Anyway, we've had a busy month. Just a few of the things that we've worked on, we seem to on occasion have an unclaimed body, so we do a petition and order for that. We had a meeting with the 5 pillars in the business park. Reviewed some contracts, some with Rob with the zoning and the cupola contract, and we're still working on the ordinance review, taking those and meeting with folks and trying to get the ordinances updated. And had a meeting with the deputy sheriff on a landlord-tenant issue that came up this past week. Just a little conversation, things worked out well. So anyway, anybody have any questions, concerns? All right.
No.
Okay. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Terry.
Y'all have a great holiday season.
You do
You
it.
too. Our county administrator's report, Mr. Stan.
Madam Chair and members of the board, few things I want to highlight tonight. One, our county emergency communications study, one of the other projects that Trey has been working on. The county's received a final report from our radio system consultant, CTA. The plan of action is recommending planning and budgeting for a new countywide UHF P25 Phase 2 trunk simulcast radio system. A final presentation will be made to our Fire and EMS Committee in the near future. As part of the study, the town and county are evaluating combining communication systems. County staff are working scheduled site visits with everybody scheduled to joint communication system in both Charlottesville and Harrisonburg that also have a higher ed component. We're trying to look for something that's kind of apples and apples to our situation to look at. So hopefully we'll be able to meet with the committee early next year and bring everyone up to date on that. Our flagpole BZA appeal, the Virginia Supreme Court has scheduled a hearing date for that for February 6th here, 2023, here at the Prince Edward County Courthouse. Sandy River PPA project, on December 6th, the county officially received the full PPEA proposal from Prince Edward County Infrastructure, LLC, for construction of the water treatment facility and transmission line in Nottaway. We've sent the package off to Pannoni, our consulting engineer, for review. Ultimate acceptance of the proposal by the board will depend on reaching final agreement with the Virginia Department of General Services on a contract to provide water to the 3 state facilities, which include Piedmont Geriatric Hospital, Virginia Center for Behavioral Rehabilitation, and the Nottaway Prison, and also the town of Burkeville. Solar Project Community Meeting, Sun Tribe Solar held a meeting out at the Prospect Volunteer Fire Department on December 7th. It's for an approximate 25-acre solar project located on Elam Road. In addition to county staff, Mr. Whitfield Page from the Planning Commission also attended. We expect that to come to the Planning Commission sometime early next year. Connect's broadband project, we received a number of complaints and talked to Supervisor Emmert a couple times regarding severed utility lines caused by the installation of the conduit line for the fiber project. In our meetings and discussions with Connect's, most of the issue seems to be stemming from the failure of the utility marketing company, which is Stake Center, that's been hired by CenturyLink. So CenturyLink or Brightspeed, who is the utility, hires a company to mark their lines for the company that wants to come and install the underground conduit. Well, they're marking the wrong locations, they're several feet off, and then when they go in there and install the line, they're cutting it. As I understand, the Stake Center's changed over some of their staff. I actually had a meeting today with the head of public outreach for Brightspeed for the state of Virginia. We've been able to resolve one of the primary issues. We had an elderly resident of the area who was without phone service for 22 days, and we got service reinstalled, and boom, it got cut again the next day. So I think we're back up. But, when people depend on it for 911 and, being able to be in touch with their family members and they don't have a cell phone, it's very important. So we take those to heart. As of December 12th, Connect has 28.4 miles of their RDOF conduit installed in Prince Edward County and 1.5 miles of VATI installed. That's that $15 million state grant. They've passed 693 houses and businesses. They've only got 19 installs so far, but part of that is because they've got basically empty conduit. They haven't pulled the fiber through those sections. That will start picking up in the next month or two. And they're hitting the Prospect area heavy right now. They'll be working down through Hampton, Sydney, and then come on through the Lead District and head down towards Lunenburg this year. So those complaints will migrate to the other board members' districts over the next few months.
That's right. Look out, is that coming to y'all?
As Randy mentioned, we've got a pre-bid tomorrow at the Rice Convenience Site. We're hoping we have a couple contractors show up for that. Again, we're hoping to completely upgrade that site and pave it and give a much better customer experience. The plan is to go through the bidding process. The bids will be due January 11th, but get bids and be able to award the bid and so that they can start construction come spring. And then we've got a temporary site identified that will move the convenience site in the cans so we can take care of our customer needs while the site is being renovated. The only other things, again, reminder, we've got our employee luncheon tomorrow at the Fireman Sports Arena at noon. Board members are welcome. Terry, you're welcome. If you're available, to please come to that. And I want to, again, welcome our new board members. We look forward to working with you on behalf of the staff and wish everyone, including the public, a Merry Christmas. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Mr. Senator, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
On that February 6th date, do you have a time?
I believe it's 9:30 in the morning.
Okay. Thank you. Before we go into closed session, Mr. Stanley, do you want to go over item 25?
Absolutely. We've got a lot of upcoming meetings, and it gets a little confusing because you've got our traditional Virginia Local Government Day, and they've interspersed in some opioid settlement workshops. All the board members don't need to go to the opioid settlement. Staff, we'll try to have somebody there, but if you want to be there, certainly either part one or part two, just let us know because you would need to stay overnight. Chairperson Institute is the 20th and 21st, and I'm pleased to say that Harrison is giving us the okay to sign up for the Certified Supervisor Program. I know there's a few of you, Supervisor Townsend, Supervisor Pride, Supervisor Cooper Jones, y'all have all completed, I believe, the certification program. So I know y'all would tell Harrison it is a good opportunity, and you'll learn a lot and about local government from different people all across the state.
Bill 2, Cannon 2.
That's right. It's, the tough thing is there's only about, 18 slots? 17. So there's 17 slots in 95 counties, so.
They done narrowed it
Yeah, you
down.
better go ahead and apply.
But it'll be offered every year.
Barely got elected, right? Harrison made the cut, we didn't make the cut. That's right.
That's all I have.
I got
Try not to take it personally.
I got a question, Doug.
Yes, sir.
This opioid settlement workshop, I mean, we got the money from the opioid, one of the opioid settlements. Now, they got another one, they haven't, a court case they haven't settled yet, and it should be some more money coming. Said all that to say this, we need to try to tie that into how the jail can get some of that money to help aid in the opioid.
Hold my wallet.
No, I know, I talked to Crossroads, Dr. Moore.
I know Crossroads is interested. I know our Commonwealth Attorney is interested in the potential for a drug court. All those things are kind of eligible funding. So, well, kind of like CARES Act, we'll have to put all the ideas on paper and see, maybe, it's certainly like Crossroads, if we can link them up with providing services, say, at the jail, and come up with some ideas and concepts
Well,
and
we
ways.
already do. We already do.
Yeah.
They facilitate the successful living, and we already have a MAP program.
And what we can't do necessarily is supplant what's already funded. What we got to do is find a way to come up, expand the program. I think
Yeah,
that's the
we need to
biggest thing.
expand it.
Yeah.
But that's not only Prince Edward, that's the other five counties also.
That's right.
So it needs to be a discussion about that.
The good thing is we're putting that money in a separate account. We have certain things we can spend it on. We won't spend it until the board makes a decision on how to spend it.
Not all of it, but some of it, I think, because most of those, you have a lot of individuals, and most of them in jail, if the root of their problem is drug-related opioid addictions, period. And that's what, we needed with those people, to when they come out that jail, to have a change, have a change in life, the way they live, the way they think, the way they act. Because if not, we have you or any of us could wind up being victimized or becoming a victim. We gotta
Mr.
change.
Townsend, do you work with, there's Piedmont, not you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work with Shirley Couch Mays?
Sure we do.
She has a
Lock
reentry
family.
program, yes.
Lock
I know
family
she has a
services.
reentry program.
She in the jail, coming back. That's just one. We have several others, evidence-based programs. Those programs have been proven to be successful. You have positive outcomes. And there's most of them right here. It's a lot of them from Prince Edward County. So it's something to think about. We need to be trying to come up with some ideas or ways how we can help those individuals inside of that jail. I think it's money well spent. We have the Vivitrol program, now we're looking at the naltrexone, the tablet, the pills. So that's MAP, and that's what that money is for. And only counties and cities can get it. All right, because what is the guy named Howe? I think the guy that's gonna do this, McDowell. He was at our superintendent's meeting 2 weeks ago, and he gave us a presentation on that. So I think Piedmont need to take advantage of it.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I move that the Board of Supervisors convene in closed session for the discussion and consideration of personnel pursuant to the exemptions provided for in Section 2.2-3711A-1 of the Code of Virginia, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to the exemption provided for in Section 2.2-3711A-1 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
For a roll call, Harrison.
Yes.
Lou.
Yes.
Patty.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Shannon.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
We now move to closed session. Thank you. At this time,
Madam
could we
Chair,
have
I
a
make a
motion to
motion.
return?
Yes, I make a motion to return to open session.
Second.
Motion is made and second that we return to open session. Could we have a vote? Bill?
Yeah.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Yes, yes, so moved. We are now back in open session.
We gotta give us certificates. Do we have it? Oh, she got it.
Yes. Whereas the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors has convened in closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the board that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements of Virginia law were discussed in closed session, to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the board. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
A motion is second. Could we have a vote? David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And Odessa, yes. Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we retain our Ms. Terry for one more year.
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second that we retain our lawyer representation, Ms. Terry, for another year. Could we have a vote? Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa? Yes. So moved. Terry?
May I make a
We're gonna keep you.
statement, please?
Yes, please.
Mr. Atkins Wilson, I'd like to say thank you for making those improvements. We are very proud of you. I think the board, everybody is really satisfied, and we look forward to working with you. Maybe not just 1 year, maybe a whole lot of more years. But we do want to say thank you for what you're doing for our county. And I have to say that our county administrator is very happy working with you, which means a lot to us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Terry. Any other comments? If not, I move to adjourn. Could we have a vote?
One
I'm
quick,
sorry.
this properties person, I went out to the FSA building, agriculture building, whatever you want to call it, the other day. There's the gutters there, we've got to do some work on, where you come into the building, they're leaking and coming right down on the concrete there. When it turns cold, if they got any moisture, that's gonna
At
freeze.
the front entrance?
Right at the front entrance, that's right in the very corner.
Okay.
I'm sure if they either need to be sealed or something, but we need to check that.
Okay.
Both corners on the front entrance are, if it gets cold and it's wet, it's gonna freeze, it's just gonna be a solid sheet of ice there, just check that if you leak there.
Okay, have a vote for adjournment. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?